here we are to the destination of this expedition for the total solar eclipse. I chose Ibiza for tourism first, because I've never been here, so I really wanted to explore the island. And secondly, I found a couple of spots that could be perfect to capture this low over the horizon eclipse. The best location that I found is actually on a difficult location. Looks like the last 2 kilometers are a private road. So now I'm just gonna check it out by foot and see if it's gonna be the right place, and then we'll see how to get there. I have a lot of equipment, so I would prefer not to have to do this 2 kilometers by foot. So I can probably either rent a bike, but it's not gonna be suitable with my equipment either, or maybe I can just go and try anyway with my car. I would say that it's probably impossible anyway to reach with a car here. The alternative could be using a quad, but you are not allowed to drive on this road. The location is perfect. I couldn't ask for more. That's probably the best view I can get for the total solar eclipse. The only problem is going to be to be able to get here with all my equipment. It's a long way, not very long, it's about half an hour, 2 kilometers, but with all my equipment going up and down that little street, it's gonna be tough. On top of that, I actually also just discovered when I landed yesterday, there was a sign that they're gonna have some road closure for the total solar eclipse on the 12th of August. And it's gonna be difficult to get here because that seems like they're gonna close the road that allows me to arrive here. And then they say they're gonna close it from 3 p.m. But that means I'll have to be here even earlier, and there is no shade here, so it's about 35 degrees with all the equipment and the seat. It's gonna be tough. I'm dying out here, so it's time to hit the water and scout for new locations. And this is all the equipment that I brought for the project. I'm still refining exactly how to approach this total eclipse, but this is my initial idea. So my main shot is going to be with a tracker and the 800mm lens. With this I'm going to capture the whole phases of the eclipse from C1 to C4. I'm going to then dedicate this 400mm lens just for the totality phase. Then I'm going to shoot a burst pictures with my Sony. A few years ago when I shot the first eclipse, it was quite problematic to change between the solar filter and the very quick change into totality that lasts only less than a minute. So this time I really want to dedicate 2 cameras to these 2 different phases. This time I'm also gonna have this smart telescope from Vostro, a C-Star. This one is going to be just a set and forget device that's going to capture the whole eclipse, and it's going to be just an extra one just in case. I'm also going to have my little Sony. Unfortunately, I only have 2 main cameras with me here, so by this little camera is going to record a little bit wide angle time lapse, where probably I'm going to composite in the eclipse that I captured with the other cameras. I actually got here to Ibiza a few days before the eclipse just to do some trials. Unfortunately, there is very little chance to do tests on eclipse. They happen not very often, and this time is going to be a very difficult one because it happens exactly as the sun is setting down. So the main problem is that I need to use a solar filter to capture all the phases of the eclipse, but then when the sun is setting, it's going to be much less brighter. So the problem is going to be that probably I'm not gonna be able to use the filter. I will have to remove it. So I'm doing a few trials in this exactly same location, exactly same position of the sun, just to see how much I need to change the exposure, if I can, with the filter on, or if I need to remove it. So yesterday I've done a trial, and just a very quick one, just to check what happens if I keep the filter on. And while it's set, it gets incredibly dark. And in this particular occasion, I wasn't touching the exposure at all, so I wasn't ramping the exposure. I just wanted to see if I was able to bring it up in post, but this definitely doesn't work. I've also done a trial where I'm ramping the exposure, but I have to bring the ISO high so much that it doesn't work. So more testing is needed in these days. I'll probably have to remove the filter for the last part of Eclipse, but it's gonna be very challenging because we definitely need to change the exposure so much, removing 16.5 stops of filter. Today I keep exploring the island, trying to find some alternative for the location for the total solar eclipse. This is the highest point on the island. There is a dirt road taking up here. It's definitely a much less interesting point of view, but I have to have alternative in case the street is going to be closed on the day of the eclipse. So yesterday's sunset test was removing the solar filter as late as possible in order to be able to still have a perfect exposure. And even if a jump in exposure is great, once you remove the solar filter, I think the result is probably okay. And just to give you an example, here is what it was yesterday. So you can barely see any jump in exposure, even though we actually jump from an f9 1/50 of a second to an f51 1/8000 of a second exposure. Definitely not good for the camera to record it without solar filter, but we're just talking about the last 25 minutes of the sun setting, so it should be fine. It was time for another refreshing dip and more exploring.
much harder than I anticipated. Oof. And I realize only when I'm almost down there that the handle on my cart can go up. Oof. And I got to the destination. It was much more difficult than I thought, carrying all that equipment down. Maybe I should have gone with the original plan of hiring a quad, but I've been a bit following the rules a bit too much, I guess, because everybody arrived with a 4x4. There is a big group, and I wish I had one, especially coming back up. I'd probably ask for a lift. So this is a setup for waiting and resting. A bit of shade because it's super hot, 35 degrees, and well, I thought arriving here 5 hours before the start of the eclipse was going to be enough, but there was already so many people here, or everybody arrived with a car. So that was my original spot, but too many people there already, too many tripods, so I chose this to be a bit more quiet. So during these days that I spent in Ibiza looking for location, I also kind of made a plan, or the best plan I could think of what and how to shoot this eclipse, the incredible eclipse that is going to be very particular low on the horizon. So this is the plan. So the main camera is going to be this one I'm filming on with, Canon R5. So I'm going to shoot it on the 200 to 800mm at 800mm. With the Sky Tracker. This setup will be my main one. It's gonna be shooting a time-lapse of the whole eclipse, but not totality. So it's gonna have a solar filter on, and then as I tested in these days, I'm gonna remove the solar filter before sunset, and hopefully it will work. The second setup is gonna be just for totality. Last time I filmed the eclipse, I really struggled with two cameras managing both all the phases, including totality. So this time I'm gonna have a camera doing just totality. So I'm gonna shoot just a few seconds before totality, another time lapse, but in a burst. So I'm gonna shoot a lot of picture and then capturing the whole totality will last only 53 seconds. So Sony Alpha 7S3 and the 100 to 400mm at 400mm, and after totality I'll probably just do a 100mm time-lapse, fixed time-lapse. Third setup is going to be the C-Star mini telescope. So this is going to be a very easy setup and forget, and I'm just going to put right before the eclipse starts. I'm just going to leave it doing a time-lapse all the way through. This is very simple to set up, so anything goes wrong, I'm gonna still have a beautiful time-lapse of the whole eclipse. I then have my little Sony. This is gonna do a time-lapse of landscape, wide, including the beautiful rocks and the whole eclipse. And I guess I will composite in from the bigger lenses. I also have this little guy, who's probably just gonna do a time-lapse of the whole setup, and or maybe a video during totality. So the eclipse actually starts in about 4 hours, so there is a lot of time yet to spend. Still a lot of time, so what I'm gonna do is set up my tracker and align it. That is not the easiest, not the most accurate thing to do during daytime, so I'm gonna just do it with an app with my mobile and do some test time lapses to see how well it's tracking the sun, and then set up everything to be ready at least half an hour before the eclipse that starts at around 7:30 p.m. Try this alignment and see how good the tracker is tracking. Okay, let's test how well it tracked. Well, it obviously didn't track at all. I think it turned off. That's always a problem with this battery bank that I connected with, so luckily I've done a test. Okay, let's go and check out if the tracker was working this time. Okay, this is good enough. I found that it's very difficult to get better results aligning during the day. It's almost time, about half an hour before the eclipse starts. Bit of clouds, high clouds, could be better, but it's not too terrible.
I'm now back home and it's been a few days and all editing done, and as you have seen, unfortunately clouds came over exactly during totality and covered it up completely. It's such a shame because I would have loved to be able to see totality, such an amazing show. But it was anyway a beautiful experience. It was incredible to see the eclipsed sun setting over the horizon and the water. And now I'm already thinking about next year total solar eclipse. It's gonna have one of the longest totality in a very long time, more than 6 minutes, depending on where you watch it. And I'm thinking about Luxor and the pyramids.